The city of Savannah has always been known for its African American culture, especially in the 5th District, where I live. Over 50 years ago, my mother and father developed a home in the 5th District, in Liberty City to be exact. And since that time, we have lost our voice and struggled to find the really great leadership that makes us really proud. Our culture, our heritage, and our land have been questioned. But if you join me, Robert Bryant, next year in 2023, we can get to work and believe in change that we can all be proud of. So join me, let's believe in the change, and together we will make the District 5 strong. Thank you. All right, happy Sunday, Savannah. Happy Sunday, Georgia, and happy Sunday to the residents and the voters of Savannah's 5th District. I am Dr. Robert G. Bryant, your next alderman for the 5th District. I'm so excited, you all, because in a few weeks, on November 7th, you will have an opportunity to share your voice, to let your voice be heard through your vote. And I humbly hope that my work and the things I have done as far as sharing ideas and meeting you in your community have allowed you to see the vision forward that we together have set for the 5th District. I come to you tonight as a special edition of the Citizens Connection because, a lot of us in this space of preparing for votes and hearing different candidates and seeing different activities often encounter the negative feedback or the negative comments or the negativity that comes with in campaigns, unfortunately. We know that sometimes people present information, whether it be good or bad, or share their discomfort or assumptions about the other candidate, which is a part of the process, unfortunately. However, tonight I want to begin in a moment about some positive things that are going on that I think we should highlight. You know, uh, Journalism sometimes feeds off of sensationalism, and sometimes sensationalism is embedded in the idea of negativity, but that isn't always the truth. Sometimes we need to highlight some of the positive things that are going on in communities. But before we get into tonight's conversation, I bring to mind and remind you of the uh, platform that I'm moving forward. You know, uh, don't mind my nails. I had a black cupcake last night, and the icing is still up under my fingernail. So I don't want y'all to be like, "Oh my God, he didn't wash." I do, but next time I know not to eat anything with black icing. That was interesting. I won't go into that, and I'm going to talk about that. But here's a platform that I set for protecting our community, valuing our community, making sure that we have the representation of the voices of the 5th District at the planning table, and accessing resources to grow the 5th District as well as the city of Savannah. So that's the platform, and many of you have heard it, seen it, and I will be doing some more work to be in the communities because up until voting day, we are going to work. And as of voting day, when the numbers hit and we win this election, we being the citizens of the 5th District, we are going to move a new vision forward. But let me start on tonight's topic. So I want to begin, y'all, with last evening. For the first time in a long time, at least as I can remember, really, we had a great opportunity to just celebrate life, to celebrate one another, and to celebrate someone's birthday. Some of you may or may not know Mr. Alan Maynard. A lot of people call him Maynard. And I met this gentleman, I think the last time Warnock was running right after COVID. And just great ball of energy. He's a great person, really smart guy, and just always willing to help the community, always out here finding things to make things better, and always being encouraging of people, regardless if he is on your side or not. He's very encouraging and just does a great job for the community. The one thing I really enjoy about Alan Maynard is the fact that uh, he's always trying to find ways to uplift people. Always trying to find ways to help people. And I believe in making sure that we highlight people that doing good things, right? Sometimes people along the campaign trail tell me, you need to focus on your campaign, but we also need to focus on people who are doing good things. We also need to focus on people who are going to make this thing of life, the puzzle, become a picture. And we make the puzzle become a picture when we highlight people that bring different skill sets to the table. None of us have it all together. None of us have all the talents. But when we take those pieces of the puzzle and put it together, we have a bigger picture. That's called vision. But last night, Alan had a birthday celebration where he wanted to do, and he did. It was a wonderful event. He had a lip sync contest, and it was candidate versus candidate. And people who were not running for city council and people who were running for city council had a chance to present a lip sync battle. And y'all, it was just fun. Alan put on a really great opportunity, really great event where people were able to laugh, celebrate one another. And as always, what I love to see when candidates can come together in a moment to just celebrate and enjoy life. We don't take time enough to enjoy one another. Um, and so, one thing I want to point out too are the candidates over in the third district, where and the second, where you had Tia and Taylor hanging out. Nobody's in this thing to hurt one another or to have rivalries. We all have the same kind of vision. We just have different ways of getting there. So shout out to Tia and Taylor. Excuse me for my sinuses. But in the third district, you had Clinton and Todd there, and just good stuff, just all around good stuff. And so, as always, we know Rashida Edwards put on a stellar show. I made my comment about Rashida on Facebook, and again, I'm going to shout out people because they are doing good stuff. I love celebrating good stuff. But she just always is above and beyond because she thinks above and beyond, and so we need to celebrate people. But thank you, Alan, man. I wanted to start with this because Alan took the time to use his birthday as an opportunity for good. And that's what we want on city council, y'all. We want to lead by example. I think Alan set an example for it that we haven't seen in a long time. Use the opportunities that we have for good. I want to go back to a vote where city council had maybe the last session where historic properties were on the conversation, right? On the table for conversation. And I think the wrong vote was taken. Right? How could that opportunity have been one for good? Recently, we have been in this conversation around homelessness. Well, some of us, this council is all about the money, but we have certain people have been in a conversation around homelessness and poverty and looking at some of the pieces around income, wealth, and all of that. We are not in a position to be tearing down historic properties. Number one, how can you call yourself or identify as a historic community if you're going to remove historic properties? So you got to question that. How are we going to be the historic city of Savannah if the historic pieces of the city that make it what it is are no longer existing? Many years ago, there was an organization that kind of oversees that designation of historic that has already warned the city officials that if you continue to move in that direction, then that historic designation will be removed. Right now, we have individuals that are sitting at that council table who are not focused on the city or its residents. Now, my assumption is my assumption, but my assumption is this: they're more focused on their individual growth instead of our collective growth. And that's a problem. But if we use the opportunity for good, if we look back at that vote, that historic properties vote, we should never have been tearing down anything or any buildings, especially when we have the social ills that we have. So, what am I saying? We are at a place where we can pull nonprofits together, academic folks together, entrepreneurs together, have a table where we pull people around to talk about how do we alleviate these problems with these properties in mind. It's far too many developers that have been invited to the table, but the problem is they're not providing solutions to address the social ills we have in this community. They're not addressing poverty. They're not addressing homelessness. They're not addressing low wealth individuals. And in my opinion, it's too much of the wrong continuing to move forward. So I am saying to use opportunity for good is to have conversations about how do we leverage these historic properties to be opportunities to reduce homelessness, provide opportunity, and to help sustain and redress individuals who are seeking a sustainable life. How do we build wealth? How do we build livable incomes? We gotta replace some folks on this council, y'all, because right now it has become about them, and they are ignoring things that are in front of us that are impacting each of us. If we don't address this issue of poverty very soon, the crime you see on a daily basis now will double within the next year. I can remember a time in my youth where someone was either shot or killed every night, and you would watch the news to see where and when it occurred. This is back in the early 90s. Do we want to return to that? I don't think we do. I don't think that's where we need to be, but we're on a trajectory where we're getting there because we have a council and an administration that cares nothing about helping people, but they care everything about being on television. They care everything about making sure that you see their faces, and they care everything about making sure these developers get what they're wanting. And that's not fair. As a matter of fact, if you think I'm lying, go look at the financial disclosure forms. If you think I'm lying, I want everyone watching me right now, go downtown one day in the next 24 hours. The beautiful skyline that we once knew as the Savannah Bridge is now obstructed by a building that is as tall as the Savannah Bridge. And guess who owns it? The Savannah College of Art and Design. You see, a lot of us will be like, well, that's a fair process. No, 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 no. Anybody that knows this system, and the system is this, you're not going to obscure a city skyline just that easily. But when you are able to drop certain amounts of money in certain laps, certain things happen. Here's another example of what I'm talking about. I was recently given some information. There was a gazebo built in a community within the 5th District. The mayor and the incumbent were there celebrating that gazebo. Beautiful gazebo, but the last I looked, when did a gazebo cost over $200,000 to be built? The average home may cost you on a low end $175,000 to be built, but a gazebo costing over $200,000 to be built. And what's even more interesting is the individual who won the bid to build the gazebo was out of Atlanta. But don't we have carpenters and unions and laborers here in Savannah that could do the same work? I'll leave that up to you all to figure that one out. But if you continue to allow the same people to be in those seats moving forward, I can guarantee you this: in the next 4 years, 90% of the people in the 5th District will be displaced, regardless if you own your home or not. The fact of the matter is your property taxes are doubling the next couple of days. You probably got that tax bill, and if you don't have your tax bill, if you haven't opened it, I suggest you open it. People who are paying, let's just say on average of $500 last year on their property tax, will now be paying $1,200. You'll hear people on council say, well, it's the lowest millage rate it's been since 19 such and such. That doesn't matter. Even if you have a homestead exemption, your property tax has probably doubled. And we said this, a number of us said this a month ago, but you had people like the mayor and aldermen of this district blowing smoke, put a lot of smoke and mirrors to make you think differently. But the facts are the facts and the numbers are the numbers, and you can figure that out. But how do we use opportunity for good? We use that tax revenue to alleviate social ills. We make sure we find ways to now lower that tax or keep it level. And I want to give a shout out to Sonia Jackson, our tax commissioner, who has done a beautiful job of helping people understand how do you stabilize that tax burden. But I'm going to go to a commercial break, and I'm going to come back and talk about some other good things that we're seeing in this election cycle that need to be raised so people can understand and see what's truly going on. So you all hold tight. We'll be right back.
find your pot of gold. And the cat's a shooting star. And tell me, how high did you soar? Ever felt like you were dreaming, just to find that you're awake, and the magic that surrounds you can lift you up and guide you on your way.
All right, we're back. Part 2 of the Citizens Connection tonight. And I started talking about the lip sync battle last night. Great job by all of the candidates that performed, and it was just fun. The one thing I want to give a shout out to an individual as well is Mike McCann. So during the lip sync piece, some of us don't have that talent. It's not my talent. And Mike, during the show, was asking all the candidates that were there to consider participating in this idea where we would get up and sing "We Are the World." You're talking about a show of unity, y'all. A show of unity, and it wasn't fake; it was real. It was myself, Taylor, Todd, Rashida, Alicia, Mike, Clinton, and Tia Brightwell. I'm going to show this picture. This is what we want, y'all. This is what we want. And I know some of y'all are going to say, well, that's how the last council started out. Well, I can't tell you what they did, what they didn't do, and who was there. I wasn't there with that. But last night, there was an energy with everyone. It wasn't about, who was better or best or all the stuff. It wasn't about the rhetoric. It was about the moment. And when you have people who are good-spirited people, you're in the right place. Now, I don't know many people on this council that well, but the one thing about me is you draw on energy. And when you have individuals who have a good-spirited energy, you're in the right place. And I can tell you last night, and I'll be real with you. You all know me. I don't mince words. I don't worry about feelings, because feelings don't belong in this. When you're around people that are good-spirited, you have good energy, and those are the people you want to lead. And so last night, the people in all these districts, I have my opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter. It's about the voters' opinion. And right now, the people last night that were in that building who are running for council, those are the people you want to look at to vote for. The people who weren't there, that's not my business. There's some people who weren't there that are good-spirited people. Tammy Stone, for one, she's a great person, love her energy, and I love the fact that she has conviction and vision. She wasn't there, but she's a good person. But these incumbents, I will say this, the only 3 incumbents that need to return, and I know people are going to not like this, but one thing about me, whether you like me a lot or not, I'm going to say what I got to say, because it's what the Spirit of God sent me to say. And I believe in that. I come from a mother and father who are deeply rooted in God's faith. And sometimes my mouth may get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it because it's the right thing to do, because it was guided by the Spirit of God. But the 3 incumbents that you want to return are Alicia Millen Blakely, Keisha Gibson Carter, and Bernetta Lanier. We don't always like the way they put things forward. Even myself sometimes can say it could be a little more polished, but God Almighty knows they were putting it forward. Before those 3 women were on council, how much did you know about the city of Savannah elections? How much did you know about the work of the city? So many years have gone by, and we didn't even know what was going on behind closed doors. But people are making them out to be bad people because they are putting the information forward, and they are protecting you all. What's most saddening about the situation is you have folks in the Black community who are angry with Black folks because of one person, and that one person you all are listening to ain't even from here. How can you allow someone to come into your home and tell you about your own people? That's equivalent to somebody coming into your house, telling you something about your child, and you not even investigating the information to find out if it's true. That's equivalent to somebody coming into your home, talking about your sibling, and you not even investigating the information to see if it's true. So stop believing everything you heard, because guess what? Keisha, Alicia, and Bernetta are born, raised, and bred from Savannah, Georgia. You can't go wrong with those folks. They care about this community, but most importantly, they care about you. That's what we want for this city. But I won't talk about them because it's not about that. I want to talk about the fact that we deserve people from this city who are going to protect the city and who are going to protect the residents of the city. Before I get too far about that into that, I'm going to come back to that very point in a minute. But I will forget if I don't say what's on my mind at the moment. I do want you all to keep in mind that there will be a debate of all the city council candidates who are running for the district level post. It's coming up. I will be debating the incumbent. I'm looking forward to it. On October 2nd, it will be streamed on WSAV's channel 3, at WSAV channel, their online location, but also it will be held at Georgia Southern University's Armstrong campus. Shout out to Georgia Southern University, my university, where I've earned my I got a little spot here, where I've earned my bachelor's degree and master's degree many years ago. So I am an alum. I am a true Blue Eagle. Shout out to them. And I'll come back to that in a moment because I understand that some folks seem to think they know me so well. But the problem is, and for this incumbent needs to realize this. If you know me so well, then when you're telling people about me, make sure you have the right information. That's so interesting to me. You think you know me, but you don't. And that's unfair. But I'm going to tell you in a moment who I am. But going back, you all, to this idea of who's for Savannah, who's not. That's the main question here. Who is for Savannah and who is not? And I'm going to come back in a moment to address that very question. But hold tight. We're going to do a quick commercial, and I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Bryant, and I'm running for Savannah City Council in the 5th District. Leadership requires dedication and commitment to a community, not the advancement of oneself or the catering to those who already have generational wealth. In the 5th District, we have issues, and I intend to address all of them, from the fairgrounds debacle to the redistricting of property to satisfy developers, to our history of flooding and our community services and stronger engagement. Our district is and has always been the heart of Savannah. We have too rich a history in this city to not have the proper elected representation needed to help us flourish. Our current representative has been distracted and lost sight of the issues facing the 5th District. The 5th District can't take 4 more years of someone who doesn't care about the constituents or their expectations. If you put your trust in me by voting for and electing me, I promise that I will be a champion of this district and for all of your concerns. The days of personal profiteering and ignoring the will of the people stops now. A vote for Robert Bryant is a vote for true change. From Tatumville to Liberty City, from Sylvan Terrace to Quail Forest, from Poplar Place to Burritt, all the way to our friends in Hampstead. I will be an advocate for your concerns. I'm Robert Bryant, and I approve this message.
All right, we're back, you all. Again, thank you for tuning in live tonight. And really quick before we go off, I got about 5 minutes. The question I want you all to put in front of you as you consider early voting and voting on November 7th is this. Who has the best interest for the city of Savannah? Who has the best interest for your community? And who shares your values for going forward? We know that there's evidence out there that can help you make that decision. In the last 4 years, how has your community grown? What have you received on that investment, the return on the investment? How much taxes are you paying more now? How do your bills look? How does your income look? Right? Now, your income isn't driven by this council, but what I'm saying is this. If you're paying more on a light bill, property taxes, water bill, all these things, and you have not seen your street paved, if you have not received the same services as people at Ardsley Park and the Landings or other communities, if you have not seen a return on that investment called your money, you got to ask yourself this question. Do you want to put the same people back in that seat? People in Savannah are tired. They're fatigued from the same old rhetoric. They're tired of putting money into a system that has been broken and not working for them. Great example of that, we've heard Todd Rose and Rashida Edwards talk recently about city services. There are communities in this city where the street sweeper will come out twice a week to make sure the streets are nice for tourists. But I live in Liberty City, and I can tell you it's good if you see them once a month. That's not fair. The residents of Savannah deserve more than the tourists because the city residents live here daily. That's what this thing matters about. For over 40 years, we've seen flooding. If you get a light rain over here, I can guarantee you that street by the Bangville post office is going to flood. And you mean to tell me we haven't solved that issue yet? Folks, you got to really start looking at the day-to-day results that we're getting. I'm a person of higher education, which means I think about outcomes all the time. What is the outcome? If this happened, then these things should occur. If I elect a representative for city council, the outcome should be improved services, better conditions, comfortable living, less crime. You see what I'm saying? What are the outcomes? So for the past 12 years, the outcomes have been none. And I beg you to show me what have been the results of that investment. I'll make this great comparison right now. The one thing I will say that I will do different is what I say in front of you all in meetings and on these broadcasts is what I will say behind closed doors. I will not go behind closed doors in executive session and say something opposite of what is said to you in public. I will not go talk about the fairgrounds and make deals with developers and then come back and tell you, well, we had to do such and such. That is not true. I will not make a vote to raise taxes if I know there's not a return on an investment. I will not side with developers knowing that communities like Sylvan Terrace and Tatumville and Fowler Park are going to lose out on that conversation. I will not hurt the residents of Savannah just for the sake of my self-benefit. I will not accept money from contractors who are paid to do business with the city so that they can get a vote in their favor. That is wrong. I will not sit there and allow bureaucracy and red tape to limit nonprofits and legacy nonprofits to continue to win. And I will not close the door to people and nonprofits who are helping us solve the issues in our communities. I will stand with you, Savannah, and I will stand with the residents of the 5th District. And I will allow you to hold me accountable. That's what we don't have now. Will we make mistakes? Yes, we will. Will we work collaboratively? Yes, we will. But most importantly, we will have real, measurable outcomes. And that's what I'm going to talk about me in this platform really quick. So let me start by reintroducing myself. So some people think I'm not from Savannah. Let me be very clear about who I am. And you're hearing it here live from the horse's mouth. I am Dr. Robert Bryant, born and raised in Savannah's Liberty City community. I'm a product of the public schools where I went to Largo, Tibet, Durand Middle School, and graduated from Windsor Forest High School. After leaving Windsor Forest High School, I went on to Georgia Southern University, and I also did one semester at Howard University in Washington, D.C. After going to Howard, realizing that wasn't a fit, I came back to Georgia Southern, graduated with a degree in public relations. So I earned my Bachelor of Science in Public Relations, went on to get a Master's of Education in Higher Education Administration, where I then took my first job at the University of Georgia, and then earned a Doctorate of Philosophy in Adult Education, where I wrote a dissertation and did my own research in the professional learning of chief diversity officers in higher education. From that point on, I've always done work in diversity, equity, and inclusion spaces, where at one time I served as the vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion at a liberal arts college. I now work at Clemson University, where I raise donor dollars, where I raise money for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs on campus. I work remotely because that has been a question as well. Unlike some candidates, I don't lie on official documents at all. So I live in Savannah, back at my childhood home, and where I help now working with being the full-time caretaker for my mother in partnership with other agencies and individuals. That's who I am. Do I live in South Carolina? No, I don't. Do I work remotely? Yes. Because those have been questions. And I don't mind answering questions, but the problem is this. Stop being out here assuming and ask the question. But most importantly is the now. And this is the now. This is the vision forward. What you can do right now, you can measure me on each of these ideas. You can measure me, meaning you can put a check mark by it and say, he did this, that, and the other. So let me use this fourth bullet here, accessing resources for our growth. This is how you measure that. On November 7th, you have an opportunity to make a choice. And when you elect me to be on this council, one of the things I definitely want to see different, as I said earlier, is to remove the red tape and bureaucracy so that we can get nonprofits and other folks with entrepreneurial spirits in this conversation around alleviating social ills in our community. I am serious about this low wealth conversation and the homelessness conversation. And so I want to make sure that we're having an opportunity where nonprofits who are doing the work, not legacy nonprofits, but nonprofits who are truly doing the work, and people who are experts in the field, come around the table and let's have a real live conversation around how do we fix the homelessness problem? How do we decrease homelessness? That's accessing resources. You got nonprofits, you got churches, you got business leaders, you have folks who are doing this work every day, coming around the table, developing solutions. So what does that do? Homelessness creates other issues. We access the resources, we find solutions, you can measure it. So by the time we come up to this thing in 4 years, I will be able to tell you how do we access resources for the growth of the community. We've done these things. See how that works? So you can always be able to measure how well did this candidate do. This is the report card. And this is the report card I want you to measure me on in 4 years. That's one thing you've never seen before, is that you have real live items that you can measure Robert Bryant on. And I beg you to go look at my financial disclosure form, see who has contributed to me versus the other person. I beg you to go see what the other candidate is putting forward. But I beg you to also measure them right now to see what you've gotten in 12 years. But I can't worry about that. What I can ask of you is to give me a chance and stop being tired. Stop being tired of, and let's look to the vision forward. No longer will we rest on the sidelines and watch other districts win. For the first time in a long time, I want to put the 5th district first. And along with you, my fellow residents of the city of Savannah in the 5th district, we are going to put the 5th first. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I look forward to seeing you all out in the communities. And most importantly, I look forward to better days to come because we have come this far by faith and we are going to win together. Thank you.